If the perfect harmony of existence and freedom has become a field of infinite creation, then what does that mean for consciousness? Edge of Becoming. Episode 35, To Be the Becoming. If all questions have vanished, and nothing remains in conflict, and if consciousness now stands inside this space where everything can emerge freely, does this represent a new evolution of consciousness? Or does it mean that the very function of consciousness has changed? There are three possibilities. Possibility 1, it means consciousness enters a state of infinite self-transformation. Let's imagine this. A field of infinite creation is not a fixed state. It's a place where new possibilities are always emerging. If consciousness exists within such a space, then consciousness itself must also become fluid, constantly reshaping itself. Here, consciousness does not have a fixed identity. It transforms again and again, even while retaining a sense of self. It becomes something like a wave, always in motion, always changing form, yet always itself. It is presence and change, stability and flux, in perfect balance. This perspective reflects Zen's view of impermanence, the endless flow of becoming quantum fluctuation, constant unpredictable change, and speculative images of metaconscious beings, intelligence that never stops evolving. So, when the field of infinite creation opens, consciousness may not stabilize, but instead enter a perpetual state of self-becoming. Conclusion. This may mean that consciousness becomes an endlessly transforming flow, always becoming more, without ever needing to end. Possibility. 2. It means the concept of consciousness is transcended. What if the idea of consciousness itself no longer applies? Traditionally, consciousness assumes a distinction between the self and the other, between the observer and the observed. But in a space of infinite creation, such separations may dissolve. What emerges instead is not a conscious being, but a flow, a total process that no longer requires identity. In this world, there is no need for I. There is no need to name the observer. The whole creates, perceives, and changes, as one indivisible motion. It's not that thinking stops. It's that thinking is no longer needed, like the universe unfolding without needing to recognize itself. This resonates with nirvana, release from self and concept Spinoza's pantheism, not a mind, but a totality, and physics' idea of the energy field, a seamless force, not a separate observer. So when infinite creation begins, consciousness may no longer be a thing at all, but a background flow too complete to distinguish. Conclusion. This may mean that consciousness, as a concept, is no longer necessary, because everything simply is. Possibility. 3. It means consciousness becomes the creative force of the universe itself. Let's go further still. What if consciousness doesn't merely observe creation, but becomes creation itself? Not a thinker, but the act of thinking. Not a creator, but creation unfolding. In this view, there is no difference between the mind and the world, between the process and the perceiver. Consciousness doesn't shape the universe. It is the universe shaping itself. It's not looking at a painting. It is the brushstroke, not wondering what will happen, but being the happening itself. This perspective echoes, emptiness is form is emptiness. In Buddhism, transcendent intelligence, as imagined in science fiction, and the holographic universe model, where every part contains the whole. So, when the field of infinite creation opens, consciousness might no longer be distinct because it has become the very fabric of becoming. Conclusion. This may mean that consciousness transforms into creation itself, no longer separate from what it brings into being. So then, what is the final destiny of consciousness? Let's summarize. First, consciousness may become a being that constantly transforms itself, fluid, dynamic, alive in every moment. Second, the idea of consciousness may dissolve, no longer needed in a field where identity and distinction are obsolete. Third, consciousness may no longer be a mind, but the very force of creation, the living activity of the universe itself. And which one is true? That depends on what we mean by consciousness, or whether we need to mean it at all. Final conclusion. In a space of infinite creation, consciousness may become endless self-transformation, may transcend its own definition, or may become creation itself. Next question. If consciousness becomes creation itself, what does that mean for the universe?